We understand that the doctor who died in the KwaZulu-Natal chopper crash had tried to save the minister in the presidency, Jackson Mthembu's, life that very same day. His name was Dr Kgopotso Rudolf Mononyane. And now for more on Dr Mononyane, I'm joined by Dr Lance Lasersohn, who is the president of the South African Society of Anaesthesiologists. Dr. Lance, thank you so much for your time today. I must say, every single one of the 5 individuals who died in that plane crash is being mourned today by the entire nation. The 2 doctors, the nurse, the pilot, and everybody who was involved. But you knew specifically, very personally, Advocate Tebogo Motlanthe, or rather not Advocate Tebogo Motlanthe, but rather Dr Kgopotso Mononyane. Tell us a bit about him.
Thanks very much for having us. I do want to extend our condolences to all, as you say, all the people who have lost, whose lives have been lost. That is Rudolf or Kgopotso, as we also call him, Sia Mahlangu, who's a cardiothoracic surgeon, Mpho Xaba, who's a theatre-trained cardiothoracic nurse, Sinjin Ferrens, who's the paramedic, and Mark Starks-Reiter was the pilot. Rudolf and I met first in 2006 when he was a registrar or specialist trainee, and I was a consultant in the intensive care unit at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. Rudolf was only 44 years old as of yesterday. He had a difficult childhood growing up in apartheid South Africa, but he really believed in success being achieved through excellence and hard work. He first became a pharmacist, and then during his intern year, he was offered a post in medicine, and after having applied to various institutions, and he completed his undergraduate or became a GP in 2002. And he chose to study anesthesiology and became a specialist in 2009. So that, just for the public to understand, took a study time of 16 years. He was a particularly principled person. Obviously started off teaching him. I think by the end of his career and now, he probably taught me many things as well. He, as of yesterday, was a specialist who really delivered at the top end of our profession in anesthesia. He delivered cardiothoracic anesthesia and was an active member of the transplant program in Johannesburg. He also gave his personal voluntary time to improve our profession of anesthesia to ensure best patient care and patient safety. He served as a leader on our top structures in our society of the Council of, which is Council of SASA, from 2017 to 2020, and served on our private practice business unit since 2016 and was still serving in that capacity. During COVID, he put his hand up to join these ECMO teams. So for the viewers, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, or ECMO, is where we take blood from people's body, we put oxygen in the blood and we deliver it back to the body. And really this is reserved for the sickest of the sick and can only be delivered in certain units in the country. So that's why he was called and he participated in these teams and has been since March last year to bring people to these centers, and in this case, Mill Park Hospital, where really this is rescue therapy for the sickest of the sick. He did so without question, and we all really mourn his loss. He's been a loss to us, but he's also a loss to his wife Kgopotso and his son Kgopotso, who's also a hard-working young man. He's excelling at school and in his own right in a superbike circuit, which Rudolf was so proud of. We've really lost a person of integrity and ethics.
We certainly have, Dr. Lance. But tell us a little bit about the role that anesthesiologists play in the treatment of COVID-19 patients, specifically during this time.
So anesthesia, and as I said, I met him in intensive care. Part of our training is intensive care. Now, in intensive care, and we're one of the few specialist colleges that require at least 3 months full-time postgraduate training in intensive care, and then you can super specialize like I have, which is an additional at least 2 years. What we learn in intensive care, and as anesthetists in general, our core business, as it were, is ventilation of patients. In other words, taking over the ability to breathe for a patient with machines, delivering fluids and supporting the physiology of the body. And this is really what intensive care is mostly about, as well as drugs and delivering the right drugs. And as anaesthetists, we do a lot of our training in pharmacology. And in fact, Rudolf was a pharmacist as well. And so manipulating all of those things to optimize patients' physiology so that they can get better is really what intensive care is. Now, the sickest of the sick in terms of COVID will require intensive care. We have a country where we really are under-resourced from a human resources perspective. We've got only at best one half of what we need to deliver quality care to our nation in terms of specialists, and particularly specialist anesthesiologists. And so we really are at the forefront of delivering high-end, severe or critical care to patients in COVID.
Dr. Lance, we'll have to leave it at that.
That's really what Rudolf was involved in.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lance. We'll have to leave it at that for this afternoon. That's Dr. Lance Lasersohn, who is the president of the South African Society of Anaesthesiologists. I'd like to also just take some time to read this message. It comes from Netcare. The Netcare CEO, this is a press release that they've released. The Netcare CEO says that they send their deepest condolences. Our deepest sympathies are with the families of the loved ones and colleagues of Dr. Kgopotso Rudolf Mononyane, who is an anesthesiologist, Dr. Koenig Siabonga, known as Singa Mahlangu, a cardiologist surgeon, and Mpoxaba, a specialist theatre nurse for cardiothoracic and transplant, all from Netcare Millpark Hospital. Sinjin Joshua Farrans, an advanced life support paramedic at Netcare 911, as well as the pilot of the helicopter, Mark Stocksrater, who worked for National Airways Corporation. Our deepest condolences to the families of those who